So is the stream back up and running? Yes, it is. Sorry for that, guys. We're going to be moving in quickly as possible. And get back on the action. It is very crucial we don't miss too much of the race. I'm looking forward to it. Let's get back in so we don't miss too much of the race. Hopefully it lets us swap who we're spectating. Is it letting us commentate properly now? Here we go. Right, so up in front is Sir Bobby, still trying to hold off his Lamborghini friend as they're going to go side by side on the run up into Eau Rouge. Anton on the outside takes the position as Sir Bobby thinks better of it and backs out. It looks like it's these four up in front, and Sir Bobby has got a massive tank up there and he's spun in the wall, and that's massive damage to the front of that Lamborghini there, and that's calamity up the hill from Eau Rouge, and this is going to cost him dearly in the race, pretty much his race over if he needs to recover that damage. So Anton free there from his Lamborghini teammate, forced him into an error there as Scotty J is trying to find his way through, keep with the leader as much as he can. Doesn't quite have the pace at this point in time. But it looks like the Nissan is right on the tail of him, coming through Rivage. We're on lap 2 of this race now. Further down the field, we've got a couple of gaps as well. We'll stay on board for the fight for second place. It looks like this is going to shape up to be something brilliant. But further back, we've got Bad Bull on the back, going down the inside into Rivage on the other Nissan. It looks like he's just going to sweep across the outside of him for the time being. It would be nice if I could get a couple of extra better camera angles. Massive dust there as the Lamborghini is cutting across the grass, trying to wheel his way back to the pit lane with that damaged car. That is going to cost him so dearly. Up in front, back to the front fight between Scotty J and the KFO. Doesn't look like he's quite close enough at the minute. We'll cut back to the Ferrari and the Bentley of Vizsla guy braking late. It looks like it's a pretty fast train here for P8 all the way down a few cars back, and a 503 is on the back of this train as well, looking to make some opportunities out of these two squabbling. But the Ferrari having to go defensive, the Nissan to the outside can't quite come to fruition. It looks to get a cutback coming into this though. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to send it though. You really have to have a good run to be able to get a move. He's in the slipstream. That Nissan is quick in a straight line, a bit chunky and bit heavy in places, but very powerful and able to pull away. And it looks like Vizsla guy is pulling away enough on the straights, with Anton having a massive lead already, 3.6 seconds as we end the first lap. And the Nissan has got a massive run through Blanchimont. They're going to be side by side, bumper to bumper, wheel to wheel. Are they coming to the bus stop chicane for the first or second time? And it looks like the Nissan is going to take that position from the Ferrari. And further back as well, hook up in the Porsche, very difficult car to drive. Let's see how he copes for the rest of the race. KFO in the slipstream of the Mercedes, looking to try and make his way through. Doesn't quite seem close enough, even though he is in that Nissan and its superior straight line speed. The field is pretty spread. It looks like I missed the best of it on the first lap. Apologies for that, guys. I couldn't quite help it. My game did not fancy being backed out and backed into the lobby cleanly. So lap 2 from onwards is what we're going to get, unfortunately, guys. My dearest apology. You've got two drivers into the pits, very badly damaged cars. Sir Bobby having a massive bottle moment at the top of the hill at Eau Rouge, and Radion really just lost the back end. It was squirming all over the place and he couldn't quite hold on. So Anton leading the way pretty dominantly so far in this race here at Spa. NAGTS, of course. The Bentley, we're on board now. Freshie G69 trying to close down the P4 of Goli. It doesn't look like he's closing in quite a lot. There's a bit of a gap, but obviously once you're within a couple of tenths, you can really try and make the most of any mistakes they make and get on the back of them if they do have a little bit of a squirm coming out of the corner. Further down though, we've got the GTR chasing down the Bentley of Filza guy into Pool 1. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to close enough to make a attack on this lap, but it looks as though he's really pushing that car through Pool 1 all over the back of him now, eager to make a move. He is very quick in these early stages of the race, perhaps gone a little bit lighter fuel and refueling a bit more at the pit stops Vizsla guy though holding on pretty well, holding his nerve behind. Hopefully these two don't come in contact. It's going to be a great battle to watch. And the Ferrari in the back, doesn't Antonio Giovinazzi, has a massive tank slapper coming out the chicane and bounces off the wall. Massive bottle moment there, and really damage you do not want to be picking up, especially in these early stages of the race. And it's such a long pit lane as well, and it looks as though he's just completely backed off and to the pit lane. Again though, back to this battle between the GTR and the Bentley though. He is all over the back in the slipstream. This is where he made the move on the Ferrari a lap previously in the tow. Is he going to be able to look? Vizsla guy defends to the inside, straight to the inside. A looks to the outside. He's going to have a massive clear run ahead. So he's going to outbrake himself a little bit to take the position very easily there out of his hands. Stoney a little bit up ahead. Will these two be able to work together and perhaps close down? This is what they need to be doing. They need to be working together, thinking with their brains. Don't want to be battling too hardly so that they can catch the guys ahead. A very large wheel spread though, field spread, as Anton leads the way, followed by Scotty, who has fallen back a little bit from the P3 man of KFO. He was right on the back of him a couple of laps ago, couldn't quite keep the pace there, and not really any close battles on track in this current point. So Bobby comes out just behind Def. Oh no, he doesn't. He comes out lapped behind, just in front of A and Vizsla. So we'll stay on board with this man as he tries to attempt to close up the gap to the P6 man of Stoney Anarchist. And he's going to be trying his hardest. He's got 52 minutes left in this race. There's a long way to go. Do not want to be making any silly mistakes in these early stages of the race, as we've seen a lot recently. But a couple of drivers, you know, you really do not want to be pushing in the race. You've got heavy fuel, cold tyres, cold brakes, especially at the start of the race, and you just want to settle in, find a good rhythm and get the consistency you need to be able to do well. Looks like a couple of these guys have found that to be a bit difficult, although when you're pushing for position it is very easy to do. I talk from experience there. So A negotiating this race pretty well, having a really strong pace. Further back there's a bit of a battle going on. It looks like Gumbro and Visitor Guy having a little bit of a tussle behind. Looks like Gumbro has managed to get in front of the Bentley and set to chase after his fellow Nissan. So the gaps aren't really updating as well as they perhaps could be, but A is trying to chase down Stoney Arculus. He is now through Blanchimont as A is on the approach to it. So there is a bit of a gap. Again, a long time to make it up. Still 15 minutes in this race. Anything can most certainly happen, and you can see the lead Anton has, and the GTR has had a massive moment through Blanchimont, and he's on the grass, rally crossing all the way through the bus stop chicane. Can't quite get it stopped either, and this is going to allow Gumbro all over the back of him with A's dirty tyres as well. It's going to be a GTR battle coming on to lap 4, maybe 5, I've lost count, but in the slipstream, looking to the inside for Lasource. Is he close enough on this occasion? It doesn't look so. He needs to take this advantage now if he wants to get the position, as A is looking rather quick. Both these cars very quick in a straight line, get a bit topsy and too tight there for Lasource. He doesn't quite get the run onto the straight he needs. However, he has got the toe of this long Camel straight to make the most of it. Gumbro really trying to get on the back of that car. He really knows this is his opportunity to get past A, making a bit of a silly mistake coming out there, and there's a yellow flag, and it's the it's the 86 car, 84 car. No, it's the 14 car. I'm all over the place, guys. There's someone that spun. This looks like a Saab Bobby, and it looks like he had another moment at the top of the hill. And once again, making those silly mistakes you don't really want to be making, especially at Spa. It is a very difficult track, very punishing if you make a mistake, as a lot of people are finding out at this stage in the race. It looks like A has recovered and managed to find a bit of rhythm again, but Gumbro won't let him go away too easily. He will be wanting to get that P7 position. Any extra points he can get are points he's going to want. A, of course, if he makes another mistake, Gumbro is there putting the pressure on him, keeping him honest, and making sure that if A does make a mistake, he's the first one to make dividends of it. Further up the field, is there anything going on? It doesn't look like it is. The 16 car with a massive dominant lead over everyone else in this stage of the race, really almost lapping the 69 car and 511 car of Jimmy and Deadwolf already. Going into the bus stop chicane, well, these guys are only just coming out of the second chicane through Puon. Just goes to show the pace difference at the moment. The Lamborghini flying, already lapping cars left, right and centre. A lot of people making mistakes and finding it pretty tricky to adapt to the long lap and very punishing lap of Spa. Bad Bull running a little bit wide there, coming on to the back straight run to Blanchimont. Again, a very nice track to watch. You can see these cars dance around this track. Very elegant track once you hook it up, and it is, yeah, it's just gorgeous track to drive around. I know someone who's raced here with sidecars, and he says it's one of the best tracks he's ever been to. Yeah, it's magical, this track, really. Very historical. A lot of historical moments here as well. Obviously, sadly, last year the death of Antoine Hubert, the Formula 2 racer who raced for F2 and tragically lost his life after a crash with Juan Manuel Correa, who is still recovering as well. So thoughts go out to him and Antoine's family, of course. May he rest in peace. But Goli has really closed up to the back of KFO. Perhaps he has made a bit of a mistake. The gap is now only 6/10. He is really on the bumper of that GTR in front of him. KFO now holding on to this podium position. 47 minutes of this race to go. We're only a quarter of the way through. It'll be interesting to see how pit stops play a factor in today's race. Perhaps they don't even need to pit if they can eke those tyres out and put enough fuel in. It may or may not be quicker. It is a long lap here, so any less time spent in the pit lane is time you're going to be gaining over your rivals. But KFO holding on pretty nicely. Goli all over the back of him in the Audi R8. Really low car compared to the GTR. You can see the size difference. You can hardly see it when it's tucked up behind him in the slipstream. But any mistake KFO makes, he gets a bit of a squirm as well. So the Audi R8 is going to pounce on that and swoop around the outside of him into that corner. Beautiful racing there from the two cars. KFO just getting a bit of swamp, and Goli really making the most of that run he had coming out of the corner to swoop around the outside in the R8. Beautiful move there from Goli. Coming through Blanchimont is KFO going to react. A bold dive up the inside into the bus stop chicane. Goli half-heartedly defends to the inside, takes back to the race line, aims himself at the apex very nicely there to take the podium place as he is on a bid to try and catch Scotty up in front in the Mercedes. Still 46 minutes of the race to go, so it could be anyone's game if Anton makes a mistake up in front. 6/10 Gumbo has appeared to have caught up to the P10 man of Hookup in the slipstream and the straight line speed of the Nissan. It looks like he's going to soar past Hookup, defending the inside into Blanchimont though. It looks as though Gumbo has managed to get the edge over him, so he's going to have to tuck into the slipstream, flew Blanchimont, and perhaps have a look as he jumps over the curb. That's going to compromise his run. We've also got another driver there, Sarbom, looking to unlap himself. Doesn't really want to be fighting with these guys, especially if he takes him out. But Gumbro goes really deep at the bus stop chicane, having to cut the corner, jumping over the sausage curb there, nearly taken off in that Nissan GTR. I think they're meant to stick to the road, but it looks like Hookup doesn't quite get the run he needs to be able to make dividends of that. That's really unfortunate. But massive mistake there from Gumbro. Very easy to do. Just outbraking himself just a little bit too much, and he really paid the price for it there. So Hookup looking to try and pounce on him. He really needs to make the most of these mistakes that people are making. Try not to make too many of his own. The GTR sort of in no man's land. He's got a bit of a gap behind and quite a big gap out in front to Stony Anarchist. So Anton really with a dominant display at the moment. Really just in a mind of his own and controlling the race. As it stands, perhaps he's running a lot less lighter fuel and refueling at the pit stops, perhaps. But there's no denying this man is flying with very consistent lap times at this current point in time. There's a bit of a train going back between the car, is that 13? And Gumbro on the back of Sar Bobby. Hookup as well with him. So this is just not even for position, but a lapped car. Trying to make his way through after such a good start. He was leading the race. Arguably, a bit controversially, he took the position before the start line, but it was shaping up to be a pretty good battle as he was only 2/10 off his fellow Lamborghini of Anton. But yeah, very unfortunate. He has found a good friend of his, it seems, Barry R, yeah, he seems a pretty nice guy, and people seem to want to go visit him. So Star Bobby really just can't get enough of him today in this race. Really going to see his good mate Barry quite often so far in this race. But looking to let Gumbro through. Hopefully he has got the blue flag signal. I'd assume so. Visitor guy also on the back of Bad Bull, the other Bentley. So it's going to be a Bentley versus Bentley scrap now if he can keep with him. Visitor guy driving a pretty good race, as is Bad Bull, in that very nice chrome blue livery. And you know, looking really good, as well as Visitor behind. Very nice green and blue mix as well. Do quite like the look of that livery. Rather glistening in the Spa sun. So coming on to lap 7 for these guys. Visitor guy looking a little bit back, and there's a drive through for Stony Anarchist, perhaps for a little bit of potentially some track limit warnings. Freshie just lets him go. Those two having a bit of a scrap. I couldn't quite see the gap update, and it didn't update quick enough for me. So it looks like Anarchist is up into P5 for the moment, but he has got a drive through, and that is going to cost him a lot of time here at Spa. The long pit lane. You go through the F1 pit lane, you come out, and you still have to go all the way down the straight, all the way up the old GT pit lane, all the way up Eau Rouge, and then you can finally be released and take the pit limiter off and go flat out. So it's a very long pit lane here. Pretty much the whole first sector in the pit lane, and at half speed, you know, when most of the sectors flat out, you're going to be losing a lot of time. Visitor guy on the back of Gumbro potentially, if he can make any amends of any mistakes, he get any opportunity he can to get in front. Still 42 minutes of the race to go, not even halfway yet, and we'll be looking to see who wins. It looks like Anton is a very good shout for the time being. No real battles going on track at the moment. Closest, of course, are the two Bentleys. Not looking like he's quite close enough to launch an attack and pounce on the Nissan in front of Gumbro. So is Stoney going to peel in and serve his drive-through? No, he doesn't on this lap. Interesting to see when people will peel into the pit lane. You don't want to peel in too early, as you may come out on track. You don't want to peel in too late, because the tyres are going to cost you a lot of time, especially at Spa, where there's a lot of time to be made up with the undercut. So the race has sort of settled down now, has it been for about the last 10 minutes now. 40 minutes left in this race, about a third of the way through. Optimal track temperature of 23 degrees, no wind as well, so it is sailing for these guys. It looks like Goalie though in the R8 having some mega pace in the second half of the first stint, trying to catch up to Scotty in the Mercedes. It looks like he's taking a massive chunk at a time of him. It looks to be interesting to see if he can launch an attack as he goes a little bit wide through No Name Corner. Very ironic name. It must be said. I believe it does have a name now, actually. I can't quite remember, but coming through P1, you can see he is really pushing that R8 to the limits, completely dropped the GTR of KFO 69 behind him, and he is on a mission to try and get into that second position. Goalie, I don't believe, set a lap time, so he is gunning for some good result, already up into the podium positions, but he's going to be craving some more. He wants that second place, and if he can chase after Anton, that would be more than ideal for him. It will be very difficult to do. 2/10 in that second sector as they run a little bit wide, coming on the run out of the run into Blanchimont. Very nice camera angle there. You can really capture the speed of the car coming through Blanchimont. Then a very famous corner, very tricky, not much of a corner in today's cars with these downforce, but still a challenge and very fatal if you get it wrong. You can visually see the gap has come down between these two drivers, and it'll be interesting to see if he can launch an attack on him in the next couple of laps. What's the gap is 1.4. It's coming down a couple of tenths each sector. He just needs to get in that toe and make sure he can launch an attack if Scotty makes a bit of a mistake in front. So we'll see what the gap is down through as we come onto Lacombe. It'll be interesting to see if Scotty has managed to make up any little bit of time. It looks like Goldie's caught up a little bit more. Is the gap come down? It has gone up. So he's made a pretty good sector 1 there, or Goldie has made a bit of a mistake, but it's 1.6 coming onto the middle sector, and Scotty runs a little bit wide, going off the exit of that right hander. Very crucial mistake, and Goldie is now really putting the pressure on him behind, making sure he can capitalise on any mistakes that Scotty makes. Of course, would be tragic if one of them bottled it. I do want to see but certainly there's a bit of a battle. It would be the first one I've seen all race as we come towards the halfway mark. 37 minutes of the race to go, nearly at the halfway mark, and where we'll see a lot of people coming through. Stoney looks like he's serving his drive through penalty. He's going to be losing a lot of time, presumably a lot of positions as well. A few people DNF from the race. We did start with 19 cars. Goldie all over the back, and he's gained 8/10 in that middle sector alone, so he is now crucially within that 8/10 suck zone of Scotty in front, definitely in the toe, putting the pressure on. So if Scotty makes any mistake, he'll be looking behind to see Goldie, and he knows he'll lose that second place position. Yellow flags at Puon. I'm not too interested. I believe it is Death Wolf, as he went a little bit wide, perhaps hit the AstroTurf. But these two going at it now. Goldie will want that second place, and he goes in a lot deep on the brakes and hits the back of Scotty there. Very big misjudgment as Scotty lets him through, and Goldie takes that second position. Really big shame. I was excited for a battle there. Perhaps Scotty can keep with him on the back though. Goldie just braking a little bit too late for his own good, and just ran out of room to avoid him. He did try and attempt to avoid him, but contact was inevitable, and very unfortunate mistake to make. Scotty now down into P3 then. Gumbro also on the back of Bad Bull, followed by Sir Bobby in the Lamborghini behind. Obviously a lap down, 2 laps down to the leader, but Gumbro with the straight line speed advantage is going to look to the inside, outside for Blanchimont early. They're going to be side by side on the front. Blanchimont is Gumbro going to send it around the outside. Doesn't look like that's going to be a wise idea on this occasion. He's going to sit behind, coming into the bus chicane in the slipstream. Is Babel going to defend it? Doesn't look like he is. Is Gumbro going to send one up the inside? Doesn't look like he's quite close enough to send it under the brakes. Cut next to the corner. The bent really parking it on the apex, making sure Gumbro can't side or send it up the inside and set up a cutback. Gumbro now trying really desperately to get back into that P7 position. Sir Bobby having a front row seat to it all. Coming into the source, then you can see he closes up a lot under braking, using the camber on the inside to help get the car rotated, as I mentioned earlier. Gumbro then in the slipstream. We've got a long flat out section all the way down the Camel Straight. Bad Bull looking to see if he can defend into the Lacombe chicane. He is very close behind Bad Bull, especially in the toe. It will make a heap of difference as we approach the halfway mark of this race. Is Bad Bull going to look to the inside early? Sir Bobby going a little bit too wide. Visitor Guy as well. If these two battle too hard and make a mistake, it will be him that capitalises on it most. Bad Bull braking nicely for the Lacombe chicane, followed by Gumbro. Pit window is now open, so we will see cars peel into the pit lane for the next 10 minutes. It is a very short pit window, so people will be needing to pit very soon and making sure they can get the most out of this pit window. It is where you can win or lose a race potentially, so it'll be interesting to see who comes in first, who reacts to the pit window. Will Gumbro try and go for an undercut? Will Bad Bull go for an undercut? It looks like they're pretty even on pace now. It's evened itself out. A as well, looking to see if he's just driving his own race. It appears so in the 503 white Nissan. Bad Bull still hanging on as he heads a 4-car train. Visitor Guy once again just looking to see if he can capitalise on any battle, and Gumbro can't quite get close enough to launch an attack. Still really close to put the pressure on Bad Bull though. He is definitely going to be looking in his rear view mirrors behind him to see the massive chunk of a car that the GTR is. Again, he's in a Bentley, so he's probably used to the sight of a massive chunk of a car. Then behind that you've got the tiny little Lamborghini, and then another massive chunk of a car that is the Bentley of Visitor Guy behind. Gumbro then in the slipstream He's lost about 5/10 through that middle sector. Must have been a little bit of a mistake. Maybe his tyres are going off. It'd be interesting to see who peels into the pits this lap. Death Wolf appears like he has. Are any of these two going to respond? Looks like Bad Bull is going to come into the pits. Is Gumbro going to follow him? It looks like he is. Saab, Bobby as well. Is Visitor Guy going to come in? They all follow each other in. Is Hookup going to come in for his pit stops? Look, that's a pretty busy action in the pit lane. Who do we stay on board with? KFO, Scotty, Goalie and Anton have all decided to stay out an extra lap or two. Hookup as well into the pit lane, braking nicely there. Rushton in P12, driving a nice race in the Lexus, stays out another lap, as well as Anarchist. So trying not to get involved too much in the traffic. If these two crash on their right lap, he'll be the one to make dividends of it. Definitely Mars feeling the strain of fatigue now, guys. Goalie though running in a nice P2, followed by Scotty J. He took off there. Didn't know that Audi was a Boeing 747, but it'll be interesting to see who decides to come in. 10.7 is the gap that Anton has, a very large gap. He stretched over, and Goalie lagging all over the place. I thought he took off and went to the dimension of the Shadow Realm, and he's going straight. I don't think that is where he is. He's running a little bit wide, but he's not that wide. But is he going to peel into the pits on this particular occasion? It looks like he is, just going to straight line instead of turning left. Coming into the pits, is Scotty going to follow him? It appears he doesn't. He goes for an extra lap. Where's Anton? He's going for another lap also. So, very dominant display here from Anton. He is just driving it in a world of his own at this point in time. A lot of busy action in the pit lane. KFO stays out that extra lap and inherits the third place, as well as Scotty. Goalie, the first of the front runners to respond to the pit winner then. We still have 6 minutes of it left, approaching the halfway mark of the race. And it'll be interesting to see who will come up on top again in this race. The Audi R8 right in front of him, pulling out. I'm not Jimmy in P14. Haven't seen that much of him going on towards the back of the field. There's a bit of a battle there through the last few corners. Be interested to see who that is. It looks like it's the 24 car of Rushton on the back of Stony Arcanist. So Rushton in the Lexus and Stony Arcanist also in the Lexus. Battle of the Lexuses, very nice sounding car. As he comes through Blanchemont. Very nice matte black livery there. Do quite like that. It is a nice mean looking car. Do not want to be seeing that in the rearview mirror of your car. Sony Arcanist running a very nice livery also. Through the bus stop chicane. Rushton really trying to close up the gap to Stony Arcanist, make sure he can get a good launch. You can see he is very, very much closer on this occasion. Tucking back into the slipstream, looking to the inside for the source. Doesn't really think much of it though. He's going to be trying to get late on the brakes, turn in later, try and get a good run. Coming out of the source, it's a long flat out section. Can he get the power down as well as he wanted to? It looks like he's lost a little bit of time to him in front, but through Eau Rouge he has got the slipstream and the long camel straight to make dividends of it. We've got a few coming out the pit lane as well. Going to affect things as well. Bad has also got a stop go 30-second penalty, so that is less than ideal. Goalie as well has just come out right behind him, as the engineer has informed us, at the halfway mark of the race. Goalie though come out right behind these two battling, which is not ideal for him. He needs to get in front and clear them, otherwise Scotty has a chance of going for an overcut. So he needs to clear this traffic and hope it doesn't cause him too much time. But Goalie on the back of Rushton, he will have the fresher tyres, and he looks like he is the quicker driver of the two. Oh no, and he's got all of that curb a little bit too tight there through Rivage, and he has really spun that around. And crucial mistake there. He just used too much of the curb again with the dirty tyres through No Name. Used a lot more of the curb, jumping all the way to space there from Goalie. That is certainly one way to take the track, but really crucial mistake there, and he's going to lose out potentially to Scotty, who is now in the pit lane. So let's see who comes out in front. Anton also coming into the pits, so KFO will inherit the race lead. Anton's still your net race leader though. So will Scotty still come out in front of Goalie, who has crucially made another mistake, lagging all over the place though on this lap. So it not being the cleanest out lap 4. So Scotty should be rounding off his pit stop anytime soon. He's coming out of the pit lane. He obviously still has the pit limit on, as goalie is coming through Bonchemont into the bus stop chicane. It is going to be very, very tight as to who gets that position. He's closed up a lot to Rushton as well, pushing him through the bus stop chicane. This is going to be costing him even more time. Scotty J then heading up through the pit lane now. It's going to be close. Goalie still at full speed. Stony Arcanist comes in for his pit stop. Goalie on the inside into the source, thinks better of it, looks to the inside. Rushton gives him the space. He's going to look on the inside. Has he just given that up position and thought better of it, realised he is a little bit quicker? So Scotty J towards the end of the pit lane. This is going to be very close as goalie is coming up. Eau Rouge now. Will Scotty be released as he comes around this corner? He has got released and he's up the hill. Goalie now coming around and up the hill, so he's going to retake that P2 net position. Very, very close though, only a few seconds in it, and that mistake definitely did stop his heart. I'm not Jimmy, moving out of the way very nicely there for our net leaders. Anton coming out in P2, and my game's crashed.